Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Roscommon 321 down 120. The Rossies start with a win in the Allianz National Football League, and Davy Burke's men have them off to a flying start after obviously what was a disappointing year in the league last year, and they bounced back with a very hard-fought win, it must be said, versus this Down team. Down, I thought, played really, really well. They fought really, really bravely. Probably had the game within their grasp. Like, they were 5 points up, actually, when Roscommon went down to 14 men with that Dara Craig black card. But it was only a couple of minutes later that Kieran Murtha ends up putting the ball into an empty net. And a brilliant finish, by the way, because it was quite a distance out. And the side foot, or sort of hit it with the outside of your boot into the back of the net, was very, very impressive. But a very interesting game. I think the new rules were really on site here. Having been at the Dublin and Mayo game last night, you didn't really see some of the new rules to full effect, I felt. And obviously I will have to watch that game back, because maybe sometimes in the stadium you don't really get to see sometimes as much as you'd see on the TV. And sometimes it's the other way around. But yeah, it was a very, very interesting game, a very hard fought battle, I felt. And Roscommon going down the home stretch were really, really strong. It felt like if this game had a went for another 5-10 minutes, then Roscommon would have pulled away further. It felt like Down, I think maybe a bit of lack of match sharpness or tiredness crept up with them. And I know you could say the same about Roscommon, but I think Roscommon may be playing on their own home patch. Probably did help in this scenario, and Down really, really struggled. But it was a very, very interesting game. We'll start with the first half of this match, because Down were causing serious problems, I felt, for these Rossies. And I wanted to highlight this screenshot here in particular that I took, because Down in particular on that right hand side where that circle is highlighting there, we're getting so much joy. And Roscommon were struggling, and Down, to be fair, and this was actually in the second half in fairness, but it was very prevalent in the first half as well, where Roscommon were struggling, and Down kept on picking up Pat Havern in these little pockets here, right outside the arc, where they can kick for those 2-pointers. And Down were really, really benefiting off that. And I felt like Down in particular were using the new rules to full effect. They must have hit 3, maybe 4 2-pointers in the first half, which I thought was really, really impressive. And as you said, Pat Havern was very, very good. Danny McGill, I thought, was very impressive. James Guinness as well. Had a really, really impressive game. And Down were taking the game to Roscommon. And whilst Roscommon did obviously get that early goal, like right from the get-go from Enda Smith, I think what's fascinating about these new rules is that you never feel like now that a team is too far ahead. Roscommon are 5 points ahead, and then Down kick a 2-pointer, and then it's down to 3, and then it's down to 1. And the game always just felt very, very wide open. And even at times as well, when Down went 5 ahead, you always felt like the Rossies were still never out of it. And yeah, obviously watching the game on TG Cahar on the app did go down for me for the last 10 minutes of the first half. So I did miss the Key McKeown goal, and I missed chunks of the first half, unfortunately. And it is a shame, because I did feel like that was a moment where Down really did kick on, and they actually outscored Roscommon, I think, 7 points to 1 from the 22nd minute onwards to the 28th, or 7 points to 3, I should say, because Key McKeown got a goal which sort of kept Roscommon in it. But it felt like more and more that the game went on, that the Rossies were just starting to turn the tide and overwhelm Roscommon a little bit. And I think one part that really changed the game was Roscommon's bench. So I've taken this screenshot here from Scorbio. Shout out to them, doing fantastic work as always, keeping us up to date with the exact scores and the exact figures. I do always keep my own notes, in fairness, but I think this good visual would certainly look a lot better than my scribbles down on a piece of paper. Kieran Murtha, phenomenal performance from him. 1-2. That goal, obviously, as well, which was so huge as well, because it came after Dara Craig's black card. Ben O'Carroll was very, very lively. He only scored a point, but he was really, really involved. He was setting up scores around him. He was making things happen. And Big Donny Smith scored a huge point just towards the end of the game as well, just to sort of relieve any pressure that Down were trying to put on. But like when you look at the scoreline, and Roscommon obviously running out winners in the end by 7 points, you would think that Roscommon were maybe very, very comfortable, but that wasn't really the case, because Down were always there, and it was interesting because it wasn't like Roscommon were hanging on towards the end. They were very, very strong in how they were playing towards the end, and it just felt like for me they were overwhelming this Down team and putting so much pressure on them. And those runs from deep from the left hand side, they were picking out a brilliant full forward in Key McKeown. German Murtha was doing all sorts of damage as well, and then the Smith had a very, very good game. And I think you have to shout out Shane Cunnane in at number 6, scoring 2 points as well. So it was brilliant from Roscommon. I think they just overwhelmed Down. I think this was just a step too far for Down, in my opinion. I think having coming up from Division 3 and playing, for me, what is probably the best team in this division. They've been here before. They've won this division, on numerous occasions. It feels like they've been promoted from here on numerous occasions. Like, this is their bread and butter. This is what the Rossies do. And it just felt like, especially in that last 10 minutes, the gap in quality, conditioning, experience was very, very prevalent, and Down couldn't really do anything to prevent it. Just looking up some scorers in the game again. So we're just going to throw this screenshot up on the screen. We're going to try and use a bit more kind of visuals and stuff during the match reactions this year, just to improve the content that a little bit better and everything else. So again, taken from Scorebio, so you can see some of the scorers there. Dara Craig with 4 points, Keen McKeown with 1-1, German Murtha with 7, and the Smith with 1-1. Now, we already threw something up of Rossi's bench as well, so their bench made a huge impact in total, really, really sort of changing the sort of flow of the game. But look, in fairness to Down, like looking at them as well, Pat Haven 11 points, a lot of 2-pointers in there as well, and you do have to shout out Garrett McKibben as well in a corner forward there, wearing the number 19 shirt, scoring 1-1. Danny McGill with 2 points as well. James Guinness with 2 points. Oren Murdoch, as always, a very big presence. Roy McAvoy, a fullback, with 2 points. Interesting to see, especially with the, leaving 3 up inside. You were thinking, it's not going to stop the likes of your fullbacks racing forward and joining the attacks. But that certainly was the case today. Roy McAvoy was very, very good at doing so, and getting a couple of points in the game. But definitely a key turning point in the game, as you'll see here. Dara Craig's black card in the 54th minute. You're thinking, Down at that stage, we're 5 up, and it just felt like Roscommon, they were battling down the hatchet. Like, they hit the bar a couple of minutes before that would end the Smith, and you were thinking, are Down going to be able to hang on here? But then that black card came, and you're thinking, right, Down are going to keep the ball here. They're going to slow the game down as much as they can, but the Rossies are going to slow the game down as much as they can to obviously take this thing out of black card. But it was actually the other way around. It felt like Down were dilly-dallying on the ball. Their keeper ends up venturing forward, ends up getting caught. John O'Hare. Roscommon work it down the other end, and Kieran Murtha gets the goal. And from there, Roscommon just really, really kicked on. German Murtha kicked a couple of points, and you didn't really notice the black card at all, in all honesty. You didn't really see a kind of taking shape on the game. And when Roscommon went back to a full 15, they kicked on even further, it must be said. So very, very impressive stuff from Roscommon. Zio says here, it feels so weird seeing a 5-point lead and knowing the other team isn't out of it with the new rules. Yeah, that is the thing, and it probably does change that element ever so slightly of teams being hugely defensive and got a lot of men behind the ball, because look, when you leave that space for 2-pointers to be kicked, it can change it. Zio says, I didn't fully understand what happened with the Down goalkeeper sub. I tried listening but didn't hear what they said. Yeah, as far as I know, like, it was just they changed the goalkeeper, but it was an attacker who was actually playing in goal, but he just had to wear a goalkeeper jersey. So yeah, that was a little bit interesting, in fairness. And I think it was actually Oisin Savage who was wearing the number 13 shirt, ended up playing between the sticks for the last couple of minutes. So, yeah, that was a little bit bizarre in fairness. Acer says Clare v Kilkenny game was end-to-end. Haven't seen that yet, but definitely we'll catch up on that and some of the other hurling games at some stage, I'm sure, as well. But yeah, huge win for Roscommon. I think they just overwhelmed Down, really. Their forwards were absolutely outstanding. And a big win for Roscommon because, I think Down will be strong in this division. They certainly will be up there. And they will be causing problems, and it won't be easy for the Rossies to get promotion in this division, although I do think they will do it. But certainly a defeat here would have felt like a setback had they have lost by 4 or 5 points, or had they even lost in general, as this game looked like it was going to happen. It would have felt like a setback at home. There are still some question marks and murmurings over Davy Burke would have been his 3rd year. But they capitalized today, and it was very entertaining. I love the solo and go new rule, it must be said. It just keeps the game moving. It doesn't seem to slow it down. It seems to prevent players from, I think so often when we see a free being called, a player would stop and then, sort of play it backwards. That doesn't seem to be happening anymore, which is great. The kickouts are brilliant as well. And look, it made the game very, very entertaining. 321 to 120. Very, very high scoring game. And looking at a lot of games around the country this weekend, some games have been low scoring, but a lot of them have still been very, very high scoring. And I think that's what will make these new rules very, very interesting. Zio said Down did look good first half, was impressed. Yeah, they were very good in the first half. They caused damage to Roscommon. Pat Haver, as we were saying, was kicking a number of 2-pointers. And Roscommon were a little bit slow. Like, other than that goal, really, they were probably a little bit slow. And, the goals probably came at great times for them as well, because, they get that early goal, which sets them up with a bit of a lead. The Key McKeown goal came when Down were really, really on top, albeit the TG Caharap went down at that period as well. But from looking at the scores during that time period, it looked like Down were very, very much on top. So, huge win for the Roscommon. They start with a win. They start with 2 points. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on Down's performance as well. Also on the Rossies as well. And do let me know in terms of your man of the match who you think that was. Probably would go with Shane Kinane in at number 6 for me. I thought he played very, very well. But do let me know your thoughts, your opinions on the game. And until the next one, we'll speak to y'all soon.